This is Sports 225 with Lee Feinswag. Sports 225 with Lee Feinswag is Baton Rouge's longest running and best television show. Who would have believed that?
My best friend, Lee Feinswag, with the Christmas.
Sports 225 is brought to you by Breck. Remember, it all starts at Breck. Now, your host, Lee Feinswag.
Not sedate enough. Oh my, it's Sports 225, and get right to the point. Ron Higgins is here. He covers LSU for NOLA.com. And he wrote a column the other day that we're going to get to right away. Should we?
We shall.
Do you want to summarize it before I start reading the excerpts?
Well, basically, it's crazy to think that you should fire Ed Orgeron, but Joe Oliva should have been fired a while back.
And?
Carry on. That's it in a nutshell right there. Boom.
Boom. Early on in Ron's column, LSU hasn't had one of these in so long, talking about LSU's football season, that no one can recall how it feels to have no depth on the offensive and defensive line.
Yep, they don't.
And the single most important thing in college football.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can't function on either side of the ball unless you have great line play. It's all, it's not rocket science. All the schemes and everything in the world on both sides of the ball don't work if you don't win the line of scrimmage.
And especially if you're a team that runs the ball 65% of the time.
Yeah.
If your offensive line, it's multifaceted. So if you don't have the offensive line play and you're a running team, you can't attack the other team, run clock, keep your defense off the field, wear the other team down. I mean, it's a multifaceted problem.
Yeah, and if you
that's just on the offensive line.
And if you can't pass protect when you need to pass protect,
right,
you can't throw the ball to keep the defense honest so they won't stack their line when you run.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. And so that being said about the offensive line, that comes after having a really good quarterback. And this question keeps popping up, and I keep asking it rhetorically every year going into the season, every time one of us comes on and we talk about LSU football. But why can't LSU get a good quarterback who can consistently play at a high level? Why is this such a problem?
I think because they haven't attracted one that it hasn't had an offense that nowadays that kids like to play in that's kind of wide open and attractive enough. And I guess they've been hoping that maybe Canada's offense will eventually get to that where kids will see, I would like to play this type of offense. I think kids shied away. They didn't want to play Les's offense. It was so run heavy and so unimaginative. They thought, I was in a more imaginative offense in high school. And so I think they shied away from LSU. It was hard to recruit a quarterback. That's one of the reasons I truly believe that. Why did Spurrier never have any problem getting a quarterback out in Florida? Because he played an offense that kids like, man, that fun and gun, that looks like some kind of fun to play in that thing. Mm-hmm. Jalen Hurts is a really good quarterback, but one of the things that probably attracted him to Alabama was he liked Kiffin's offense. He's not running it now, but he liked what Kiffin was doing. Quarterback has to like what he sees, what he's getting into. That's why I never understood Brandon Harris coming to LSU ever. Why are you coming here? Because you're not running what you like to run, unless you're just doing it for state pride, want to be in state. So I think that's one reason. That said, Etling struggles when he doesn't have blocking. When he has blocking, he doesn't struggle. And he didn't have much blocking, so he struggled. But, he's throwing the ball better. He's not the best quarterback in the world, but he's the best they got.
There's no doubt. Now, right before the season began, Lindsey Scott, who may not have been the answer and may not have been in the mix this year, transferred, went to a junior college. Local guy, a lot of talent, potentially big upside down the line. Was that like the first salvo and big warning flag right before the season where you said, something's not right here?
I think, I don't think he was getting, basically snaps.
In practice, you mean?
Yeah, he could see, okay.
Of course, you would know that if you were allowed to go to practice.
Yeah. From what I've been told, it was Etling, Miles Brennan, and Lowell Narcisse, and then there was Lindsey Scott and McMillan, and Lindsey's smart. It's like, hey, this is come my second year now. This is my redshirt freshman year is up, and I'm not not playing now, and it doesn't look like I'm going to play because they look like they're in love with Miles Brennan and Narcisse, and Les signed me, not Ed, and
Fisher cut bait.
and where can I go to where I can get and so he went to East Mississippi Community College, which is the subject of that I think it was a Netflix series the past couple of years. And I don't know what he's done the last couple of weeks, but the first week he went off, and so hopefully, this will work for him and he'll find some place where he fit, the next year he can fit into. Because he's a good player.
Yeah.
For one reason or another, they didn't, they weren't giving him snaps. So.
He's Ron Higgins. He covers LSU football in the SEC for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. I've got more of his column that I want to bounce off of you and him, where he says the Tigers have played worse each week since their opening win over BYU, which is not incorrect. What is correct is we have to go to break. I'm Lee Feinswag at Sports 225.
Hi, I'm Joe Martin, president of ITI Technical College, and we are so excited to have been awarded Forbes magazine's top 30 two-year technical colleges in America. To achieve this award, ITI was recognized for our high scores in 1, earnings of our graduates, 2, quality of education, and 3, affordability. To learn more, we invite you to visit our campus or go online. ITI Technical College. Begin your journey to a better life.
Back on Sports 225, talking LSU football with Ron Higgins. He's been covering LSU football since, the Flintstones were playing.
Well, the SEC at least. LSU sporadically, but
True.
I mean.
38th season covering the SEC.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Two old guys talking football and Journalism 101, breaking down a Higgins column.
There we go.
But what we went to break was that LSU has played worse each week since its opening win against BYU, which was over in Houston. And LSU didn't look bad in that game.
In New Orleans. It was supposed to be in Houston, yeah.
Yeah. And then, right, exactly. Sorry. Yeah, there was a hurricane.
Okay.
You know what the weirdest thing about the two hurricanes, as tragic as they were in Houston and then in Florida, was during that time, because of the effects of those two hurricanes on us, we had the best September weather ever. That was really weird.
It was strange.
I felt so bad for everybody in Houston.
The season opener at home was like he had 75-degree weather.
That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then what's happening in Puerto Rico is breaking my heart. I've got friends down there in both volleyball and water polo, and we're taping the show on Tuesday. I heard from one volleyball guy today. He said, "Hey, we're okay, we're safe." He goes, "We have no water, we have no electricity." He said, "We're finally able to get a little bit of gas, but everybody's running out of gas and cash." Wow. And he lives in San Juan, right near San Juan, which is, an urban area, out in the middle of nowhere. Oh gosh, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And and so many of us have friends in Houston and know what they're going through. And heck, I got friends from Denham Springs who are still going through it from 14 months ago. Anyway, enough about that. And then he said, Orgeron opened his Monday press conference with a list of 7 things he needed to fix with his team. Oof. But how about opening his post-game news conference on Saturday, bemoaning the fact that he thought the wrong guy got the first snap, who subsequently fumbled after a nice run anyway. But that was a weird way to start things. And you've got that weird look on your face, too.
It was weird because I think he talked about things later. I asked him about it, and it was like it wasn't clear. And this is what I think happened. Mm-hmm. They lined up in a formation that they lined up in the very first game of the year, and I think in that F-back formation or whatever, they had I think the first game they had Darius Geis. He's supposed to come by in a jet sweep. Mm-hmm. Well, Darrell Williams was lined up in that on the. If you're facing a defense, he's lined up over here. That little F back. Mm-hmm. And for some reason or other, either Etling didn't think he was in the right position, or Etling saw something on defense. But I think Etling checked out the play, and that's why he handed off to Brissett, and that's what happened.
Right.
I mean,
who got a nice little gain for a first down play.
Until he ran into a Troy safety who played really PO'd the whole game and just really tattooed LSU from start to finish.
Yeah.
And kind of set the tone,
Well, no doubt, because ultimately when the game came down to such a close finish, you had LSU fumbling and T. Roy getting a touchdown right off the bat, and then you had the field goal at the end of the second quarter that grazed the crossbar and
Well, that thing
slid on through.
You could hear it wheezing as it goes through.
We called those a dying quail.
But believe me, like a Russian MiG under a radar. I mean, it came in low, but all LSU fans were, I can't believe they're going to put 2 seconds back on. Well, by rule, it says if you in college you get a first down, the clock has to stop, and it was 2 seconds left, and Troy was smart enough to put their field goal team on the field ready to go.
Yep.
Got over the ball and said, they blew the whistle. The guy snapped the ball and he kicked the field goal. So give him credit for that.
Yeah, and to my point about the touchdown, the field goal, and so many little things. There's a really fine line sometimes between winning and losing, especially for a college football team. And I've always been one who bemoans the fact that LSU fans have to reference something in the past. A play, he reminds me of so and so, or this reminds me, but I got to be guilty there. In Jerry DiNardo's third season, they went into a game with Georgia, and the numbers might be close, ranked either like 5th or 3rd in the country, and faced a 1st and goal on the Georgia 5-yard line, and somehow that possession turned into 4th and 90 or something, and they never recovered, and things just went terribly south from there. And they were ranked really high at the time. And this was a team you thought had all the tools and a chance. There's that element of what I think is going on now, just the vibe, that fine line. And you point out, let me go back to the Ron Higgins column. I want to get to Orgeron is a good rah-rah coach, but he's not a faith healer. And you're talking about the lack of depth of positions.
The positions, and then you have Darius Geis, who hasn't hardly played at all.
Nice. He can't lay hands on running back Darius Geis. I like that, the laying of hands.
Yeah, I mean, he's had ankle and leg problems, and and when he plays, he doesn't look anything like last year. And you have Arden Key coming back from shoulder surgery that apparently nobody knew about until they decided to get it done late, and that put him behind. And he's just now maybe getting back to close to. He's still overweight. He lost a step. And then their best defensive player right now is Rashard Lawrence, who will be a first-round NFL draft choice. He's a killer defensive end / tackle, and he has double ankle sprains. And so it's like this perfect storm of stuff. It really is.
I watched the game on television. I could not bring myself to go watch that game.
Believe me, there's times where, in the middle of a game, I want to go, I'm not going to get home and watch the rest of this.
And you know where I live, and you know I can leave at the end of the first quarter and be there almost be time for second quarter. Well, they had a young man as the analyst who's a former football player. His name was Kirk, and I can't remember his last name. But he misused the words run and ran the entire time. He wasn't a grammatical butcher in his everyday English, but when it came to run and ran, like LSU needs to ran more clock here or whatever, it was just bad. He just had trouble with that. And he continually, when he had the opportunity, kept saying, Arden Key, where are you? And the director would get to number 49 and show him, time for Arden Key to show what a great player he is and make a great play. Well, Arden Key didn't have any great plays in him. No. But this kept coming up and up. So there you go. I got to throw that in there.
There's a lot of things that, they finally get their penalty situation fixed. And then they don't pass protect. And the other thing gets killed. Yeah.
Seven things. Yeah. All right, hold that thought. I got to go to break.
Yeah, like George Carlin's list.
the 7 things you can't say on television.
7 things you got to correct in football.
And very rarely in the 23 years of Sports Monday / Sports 225 has somebody said one of those things. Once on live TV, somebody said something. I couldn't edit that out. Another time I actually said one, but I could edit it out when we were taping.
My mouth is shut.
There you go. I'm Lee Feinswag at Sports 225.
Don't let the bed bugs bite you. We'll put them to sleep.
Bed bugs can be transported from most anywhere. Hotels, department stores, even a friend's house.
We've got the bead on bed bugs. Call the bug man today.
Call 923-BUGS.
The Ron Higgins White Papers.
I made this easy for you today, didn't I?
You did. Well, it's always easy, though, because normally all we do is yuck it up and tell stories and laugh a lot. Now, he always makes me laugh because this guy is funny to me. Hope to you, too. You never know.
Yeah.
I've always maintained it's the hardest is being funny in print. Sometimes you write stuff and you think it's so funny and you laugh, and somebody else reads it and they go, huh? I don't get it. But anyway, Ron Higgins covers LSU for the Times-Picayune and NOLA.com, and we've been going through some of the things in his column. Back to what we said about the statement about the wrong guy getting the ball, and you might be pinning that on Etling, but there does seem to be some kind of disconnect between Orgeron and Matt Canada, the offensive coordinator. Right?
I mean, it's tough when you're trying to. Sooner or later, you got to bite the bullet. You want to try something different with a new offense, and you have to bite the bullet, and it may not work the way you want.
Right.
And you hope it gets better as the season progresses. And I mean, I had some person write me yesterday talking about that. I just can't. First of all, when you invoke the name of Nick Saban and with Ed Orgeron, it just doesn't work. And they're talking about, Nick Saban's first year, he came right out of the gate and was great. Well, it's not true. They were like 3-3.
Was his first year the year they lost to
UAB? Lost to UAB, and then they lost to Florida about 30-something.
Yeah.
And then they got straight the last half of the year and lost to Arkansas the last game, and they won the bowl game. So, will that happen here? Right now, I can't. It doesn't look great because, they lack everything I said. They lack leadership, But that said, they could improve because the SEC is so bad.
And it's funny. We were talking about this before the show, and I said to Ron, I said, "Is this the worst SEC you've seen in a really long time?" And minus the first couple of teams, especially the middle of the pack, it's worse than I can ever remember.
You got Alabama way up here, and you got Georgia somewhere behind them. Auburn's kind of closing in because they're figuring some things out, and then you got just a bunch of people.
Yeah.
A bunch of people. It's just blah football.
Yeah.
And for that reason, you look at the LSU schedule. Can they win at Florida? Well, it'd be like a miracle, but Florida's not great.
No, Florida's not as good as people thought.
No.
Auburn's better. Yeah. Georgia might even be better.
Yeah, they don't have to play Georgia, but unfortunately. And then after that, you have Ole Miss, which, just got beat by 63 by Alabama. But Ole Miss and LSU might be a really, really good game. And then you got an open date. Then you got Alabama, and they're going to win that. But look down the stretch, Arkansas, they can beat Arkansas.
No doubt.
Tennessee, they can beat Tennessee.
Tennessee's in shambles right now.
Yeah. And A&M, they're 4-1, but they're false 4-1.
Right.
They struggle to beat Nichols in Louisiana Lafayette. So, they, if they can get some things together, get some guys stay healthy, I'm not saying it could massively turn around, but they could. Get to a bowl, and God knows there's enough bowls to get to. You get 6 wins, you go to a bowl.
Right. And even, I predicted LSU before the season to go 7-5.
And you
No, but I thought that was with winning the first 5 games.
They're going to have to hustle to get there. But, I've done that before. I've predicted their record before, and they got close to that record in a way I never imagined.
Yeah.
It's kind of how it works out.
Crazy times. And not crazy days at LSU with Dale Brown on the cover, but crazy times at LSU. He's Ron Higgins. When we get back to Sports 225, we've got to talk about the other thing in his column where he says LSU Athletic Director Joe Oliva's got to go. And what was it? Was it Joe Kuharich from the Philadelphia Eagles? Remember the chant? They used to chant, "Joe must go, Joe must go." He's Ron Higgins. I'm Lee Feinswag at Sports 225.
See that dog lover? About to unleash the terror hound on these friendly, unsuspecting canines? Well, I'm the human dislike button, and I see it too. Easy there, Cujo. Taking part in a dog socialization program at a shelter or pet store can help nip this problem in the bud. And no matter how well socialized your pet is, cleaning up the little rays of sunshine they leave in their merry wake is your responsibility. To learn more about me, go to breck.org/HDB.
All right, coming down the home stretch of another Sports 225, we purposely left a little bit of room so Ron Higgins could talk about LSU Athletic Director Joe Oliva. But first, go to sports225.com for all the show listings. And, excuse me, easy for me to say, to watch archived editions of Sports 225. Thanks to John Williams from JCW for directing the show. All right. But after Oliva's cocksure public proclamation that, quote, I am the search committee, quote, and then you take him to task there. And there's been an unbelievable groundswell on social media, Facebook and Twitter, for two, that the problem is Joe Oliva and he should be fired.
Well, I just look at his track record. One, I mean, he had to feel great that somebody at LSU was nice enough to hire him away from Duke after the Duke lacrosse scandal.
Which he brags about the fact that he never got sued. He was the only person who never got sued.
And LSU kind of gave him a nice golden parachute. His first thing was to hire Trent Johnson, who basically Stanford wasn't going to re-up on. And he hired Trent Johnson, who took Brady's players and won an SEC championship, then went straight down the drain. And then Trent, went on a 3 or 4 year Surly binge, and it was just being surly for everybody. And then he went to TCU, and he got fired there this past basketball season. Hired Johnny Jones, who everybody assumed was a great fit. And it was a sentimental choice. Was Johnny great at North Texas State? Nah, not really, but hired him. Hired a softball coach for a couple of days. I think went to Alabama. Took a job back to Alabama. Took a job in Alabama. Probably should have fired Les at the end of 2015 and lost his guts. He and King Alexander lost their guts, and then that whole debacle, and this carried over to 2016, and fired Les. And then the last year proclaiming on the radio that he was the search committee when asked about it, and then having 2 months, and then basically having one guy he targets in the end, and he doesn't get the guy, and he has no backup plan, nobody, and he hires Ed Orgeron, and Ed, I mean, he's from South Louisiana. What are you going to say? I'm going to turn the job down? I don't want to coach here. I'm not qualified. Yeah,
well, just the buyout alone was worth taking the punch.
I mean, $12 million for a buyout for a guy who,
right?
And let me say this about Ed. And people keep coming back to this. They say, "Oh, this is the same coach he was at Ole Miss." Look, I worked in Memphis. I saw him weekly. This is not the same coach, okay? I know the lunatic I saw in Oxford is not the same guy here. This guy is trying to fix things. This guy understands what's going on. He understands the problems. He's not a screamer. He's not going off. He's not trying to run every part of the show, and he's trying to fix things. So it's not the same guy. But that said, an athletic director, if he's looking for a coach, basically these days hires a search firm to go vet people behind the scenes, and then when it comes down toward the end of the year, you've got a list of people that you go through, and to have one guy and you don't get him, and then immediately, a couple hours later, say, "Well, the hell with this, I need to get my Christmas card list done, let's go. I'm gonna hire Ed. I got Christmas shopping to do." Basically, what it will look like, and this is just the last straw, and beyond that,
you got 10 seconds.
He's unaccountable to LSU fans. He bottles himself up in his office. I don't think he's ever talked to a fan. Doesn't talk to media. Basically, he sits on his throne and says, "You know what? I don't have to answer anybody but the king."
Ron Higgins at Ron Hig on Twitter. Read him at NOLA.com. I'm Lee Feinswag. We got to get out of here. Thanks for watching Sports 225. Fade away. Go to black. We're gone.
So you.
At carnival time by Baton Rouge Bay, that's the site of my story. At Spanish Town Mardi Gras, things can get blurry. See the mowers marching